Hello, I'm standing with my feet in the River Ystwyth and I've come just for a very gentle stroll along the riverbank. Last week I had a stomach bug and I'm still not feeling 100%, so it felt like a good idea just to keep things very slow this week and not venture too far. So here we are at the River Ystwyth, and it'd be lovely if you would like to come with me for a short walk. Oh, it is lovely. It is lovely to be here. I've not actually been off the side of the hill since I was ill last week, so it does feel nice to be out and about, breathing the air and just moving a little bit. But it's the first day actually as well that it's been dry enough for a walk. It's been very wet, lots of very heavy rain. So I thought it was just the time to take advantage of a dry day and a bit of a rise in energy and come out for a short walk. I've actually been sneaking up on this walk all morning. I spent some time first thing today writing some postcards, and I thought I would just drive to the post box and pop them in the post box, and the post box I suppose is about, I don't know, a quarter of a mile from the place I park here. So once I was there I thought I would drive as far as the woods and park, and then I would see if I felt like coming for a walk, and the sound of the river drew me to it. So it was nice to go and stand there and put my feet in the river. Not quite the sea, which I've been craving, but certainly good enough. Maybe in a week or two I shall get to the beach again. As I'm recording this, it's about a week before Christmas, I think, and I'm definitely noticing that it feels like it's time to slow to an almost halt. I do love Christmas. For many years Christmas was a very stressful thing when I wasn't really well enough to enjoy it, and also felt the pressure of conforming to the way Christmas was, in inverted commas, supposed to be. I found it, well, an exhausting thing which always took a lot of recovering from. But in recent years I very much do my own thing, and I suppose at the moment I'm trying to replicate how I treat Christmas across the rest of my life. And that's only occurred to me recently. I think I've got quite successful at how to spend Christmas. One or two special things. I always make a Christmas cake. I like making mince pies, and I do like having a tree and decorating it. Though this year I don't know whether we're going to get to that or not. We will see. But mostly I just enjoy the peace and the quiet, and the fact that despite all the hectic run up to Christmas, so this week I know for a lot of people this week before Christmas is a very, very hectic time, there is that moment when things do just stop, and especially on Boxing Day, when the world has just really stopped, or most of it, and there is that wonderful sense of stillness and peace, which, well, I crave all year round, I suppose, and I'm trying very hard to work towards that with varying degrees of success. Oh gosh, it's a very light day today without being sunny. The light feels very white. It's good to be out in it. Because I've not ventured far since I've been ill, I've been indoors a lot, either in the house or in the studio, and not getting an awful lot of daylight, and the day goes by so quickly. And if it's raining, it's so grey anyway that there's very little light to be had, and I do know it's a good idea to get out into the light as much as possible this time of year. So today, I'm really pleased to be out in the light. Gosh, that tree is very bent over. I hadn't noticed that before. I wonder if it's always been like that, or whether that's a new development. I suspect it's always been like that because the one behind it is also rather bent. I expect that's a feature of the weather, isn't it? You know, I've been here, I don't know how many times I've walked here. Thousands, I should think. And I still see new things. And I think just how beautiful this place is. The river's quite high, not as high as it is sometimes, but pretty high. You can see those stones on the other side. Well, at its lowest, those stones just stretch so far into the middle of the river that there's hardly any river. And at high tide, well, you can't see them at all. High tide, high river, I don't know. When it's high, you can't see them at all, but it is pretty high at the moment, and it feels pretty energetic, which is lovely. I suppose we're getting to the point here when it's sort of most Spartan. It probably will get a little more, perhaps in January. It will get even more bare, but this is largely as clear as it gets. But very mild still. We've had some cold days, but today isn't one of them. Well, that's very unusual. I just stopped recording because I saw somebody pass somebody, which doesn't happen very often here. This is the spot where I choose which walk to take. Now that way is the short walk back to the car, and this way, which I actually am going to take today, goes on a little bit further. It's a bigger loop. I don't know if I'm going to do the whole loop, but it just feels so lovely. I would quite like to walk on a little bit further, and I don't think I've taken you along here before. In the autumn, a little way up here is the best spot for picking blackberries. But I don't come this way terribly often. Is a little more uneven and a little more overgrown along here, and the road, which whilst you usually can't see for a lot of the river walk, is just the other side of the river, but here the road has disappeared off, so it feels much more as if we're properly in the woods when you get this far. Still by the river, but still in the woods. So it is nice. It is nice to come this far, but often it feels just a little bit too far. But not today. Not today. Though I should be careful not to go too far, I think. little fir trees, little Christmas trees. Sometimes there's one or two trees here that get decorated at this time of year. Not right by the river there, but deeper in the woods. There's one tree in particular which I've seen decorated, which always makes me smile. Seeing those does make me think that I would like to get a Christmas tree this year if at all possible. We usually, when we have a tree in a pot, and it's just brought inside for a few days over Christmas and decorated and then taken back out again, and have that for a few years, and then it gets planted and gets to do its own thing after a few years. And I think the tree we had for a few years, I suspect this year isn't really up to being brought in. We didn't use it last Christmas because we didn't really have much for Christmas last year, because it was just after Buster had died. So I didn't really feel like celebrating. So that tree, it's 2 years since we last brought it in the house, and I suspect it's jolly well established itself where it is. So I don't think it would be a good thing, a very fair thing to bring it indoors. But maybe, if energy continues to feel good, there could be a trip to the garden centre to find a small tree. I just love getting my old Christmas decorations out, some of which are older than me, and putting them on the tree. It just feels like such a thing for this time of year, and it always brings back lots of memories of Christmases past, and there's quite a lot of them now. Oh gosh. Oh, it's so lovely to hear the river being quite so strong. If you've watched a few of these video podcasts, you'll know that I often get a bit anxious about the low river, because I have a private water supply, and when the river is low, it means the water table's probably jolly low, and it means our water tank is probably quite low. And this year was such a hot summer that we did worry about running out of water. So it's very heartening. It's very heartening to see the river moving quite so quickly. Ooh. Another tree. Ooh. So here's the river. I wonder if this would be a good place to stop and head back. I wonder if I can just get up there and put my feet. It's actually quite sandy as well. It's not quite a sandy beach, but nearly. Oh, that's nice. Sinking into the sand. There, I shall leave you. Stay tuned if you'd like to join me for a 20-minute creative work session, and I shall see you in my studio for that very soon. Thanks for watching. I wonder if you can hear the rain. Maybe it's starting to stop. It's been raining quite heavily this morning. My studio is almost completely engulfed in cloud, which is actually quite cosy. How are you? I really enjoyed that walk. It was really good to get out and just have a bit of a stroll in the air after more than a week really of not really feeling up to do very much of anything, so I'm glad to have done that. I'm very pleased also to be here for 20 minutes of creative work, and it would be lovely if you would join me. Let's wind up the timer. There we go, 20 minutes on the clock. Good luck with whatever you're doing. I'm just doing the very, very last thing to my blanket, which is finished. Really pleased to have got it done. I've just got two more tails to sew in, and then it's done. And I've saved those for today's work session because I really wanted to do that with you, because you've been with me through all of this blanket. I can't actually remember when I started it, but this is the 16th Go Gently podcast, and I have been doing this blanket in most of them, I think. So It could be 4 months. Oh dear, excuse me. Ooh, that didn't sound very good, did it? Quick sip of tea. Yeah. Yes, I know when I started it, I thought I was going to get it done in about 3 weeks. I mean, I actually think the time it's taken isn't bad at all. I'm really pleased to have got it done. I know the last blanket I made, the one I made out of my mother's jumpers, unpicked jumpers, took me 3 years. So 3 or 4 months is pretty good, I think. But I've got very little experience in knowing how long things take, actually. And I remember when I did the first couple of rows of this, I did a sort of calculation in my head, and I thought, oh, that'll be 3 weeks or so. But there we are, 4 months later. Ooh, my timer stopped ticking. But it's done. It's done. So I'm very pleased about that. I do have another smaller one to do. This is a present for a small person, and his baby brother was sort of the reason I started making the blankets, actually. And I thought I was going to make a cot blanket for his baby brother, his new brother. But I thought it felt a bit mean just to make a blanket for the baby and not for this young man as well. So I thought I would make him one too. So I did this one first. So I still have the other one to do, but it is going to be smaller. So I don't know whether it's going to take you 3 months or not. We will have to see. But I am having a brief pause between blanket making, and I'm going to I am working on a much smaller project made out of granny squares. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of today's session. I shall get my stuff together. I'm making this up as I go along, and for some reason I'm not saying what it's going to be, but I will show it to you. I will show it to you when it's finished. But I need 18, I think. I think I need 18 squares, and I think I've got 15 here. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I've got 15, so 3 more, which is good. And I am enjoying very much working on it. I bought quite a lot of sort of scraps of yarn from a charity shop a while ago, and I've been just using some of those, some quite neutral colours. I'm surprised how well they work together, actually. Each one has 4 separate colours. And I think I've got 5 different ones, so there's a slight variety. There we are. I wonder how you're doing with this often very, very busy time of year. This is always, for me, this is such a challenging time of year, but at the same time, it's been the one that I've worked on the most, I think. A few years ago now, I just had the worst Christmas, the worst Christmas ever, when I was in tears because I was so exhausted and felt like there was so much that I just, for some reason, had to do. And that year, I resolved to not put myself through that again, and most of it was down to me. So I do insist on a very quiet Christmas here on the side of this hill. Minimal preparations, just deciding on the most important things, which for me, as you know, are making some mince pies and making a Christmas cake, and then just making sure there's plenty of food to eat and enjoy. As I was saying during the walk, it would be nice to get a Christmas tree as well this year, but if we don't, we don't. We'll just see. Well, I do notice that particularly from now, it's the 21st today as I'm recording this particular bit in the run up to Christmas, when it just feels like it's possible, it's still possible to do one or two more things. Often I can get caught up in that if I'm not careful. So far this year, I haven't. We shall see if I manage to keep not getting caught up in that. It's been helped by the fact I've just not been out very much this last week. I think because I wasn't well, I was forced to be very quiet, very still. So I sort of feel like I've just sort of come to a bit and sort of stuck my head above the parapet and realised it's the 21st. It's the solstice today. And so far, I don't feel the urge to do anything. I've got most of the food I want is on its way. Been ordered. Including a hamper of vegan goodies. I'm not a vegan, though I am moving, I think, in that direction. I used to be a long time ago. And I have sort of been moving a bit more in that direction. But this year particularly, I think because it's me that's doing most of the food ordering. I'm thinking a lot more about that and what I want. So I have ordered nearly all the food I've ordered is vegan, not absolutely all of it. There's a little bit of dairy, but But one thing that I often do this year, go and buy lots of cheeses. So this year, I thought I would do a bit of a search for vegan cheese, and I found a hamper that includes some really nice looking vegan cheese, and some other things as well. So I thought, yeah, I thought I'd get them and see. So that's probably arriving today, so I'm quite excited about that. Square hasn't worked, that's a shame. Never mind, start that one again. So do you have any particular Christmas food traditions, I wonder? When I've talked a bit about my mincemeat making and my mince pies, which are very old traditions. I mean, when I was small, we used to just have all the usual sort of Christmas Day stuff. My father used to cook. It was the one meal a year that he cooked. I mean, he did cook very well. I mean, that's not true. He did cook. He did sometimes make suppers, actually. I mean, my mother basically lived in the kitchen when I was small, which as a child was lovely. She was always in this place, and and she cooked everything from scratch, so it always felt like a lovely place to be, to go to the kitchen, and there would always be food. I'm not sure what it was like for her, but yes, once a year, my father would take over the kitchen and cook Christmas dinner, give her a day off. But it was the traditional dinner of turkey and ham and sausage meat, which I loved at the time, absolutely loved. Christmas pudding and mince pies and brandy butter and crackers. And we always had it at lunchtime as well. It was a lunchtime thing in our house. It wasn't an evening meal, which I think is what my brother does now. He still has Christmas in a very similar way to how we had it at home, I think, apart from that I think they often eat in the evening now. Oh, actually, I wonder what will happen this year. They have.
I only have weather information for the next 10 days.
Oop, I didn't think I was asking about weather, Alexa. They're having all of their grandchildren there this year, which are quite small. They're quite small, so perhaps this year it'll be Christmas lunch. I don't know. I'll be interested to know. But, as much as it'd be lovely to see them, I'm quite glad that we are staying here and having a very quiet time with, yes, largely food that has been pre-prepared, not by me. That one's going to be a bit more successful. I think I must have forgotten to stitch it in. It just fell apart. Stitched my tail in. I think it just fell apart when after I cut the thread. I do love these little granny squares. They're so, I don't know. They just feel perfect somehow. No, they're not perfect if you look very closely at them, but they feel perfect, and just really excited that the wool that I've got just all fits together, and I didn't buy it with any plan in mind. I just literally bought what was there, and I've got others that are these neutral colours too, but these ones all fit together so well, which is lovely. And it is very nice to be working on something smaller. And I will get back to the other blanket. There's been a lot of good things about working on that blanket. It's felt very much like it's been part of my of my pondering and planning, not planning really, but pondering time. These last few months of working my way through all the changes that I feel like I need to make to make life manageable again. And it feels like it's been part of that. And I think as I look at it, it feels like lots of those thoughts are caught up in there. And I think I was saying a bit about this on Patreon during one of the creativity sessions there. So apologies if you've heard this before, but I was feeling very reluctant to finish the blanket because I didn't feel like I'd finished all this pondering that I was doing, and it felt really good to have this sort of big thing, this big expansive thing, that also felt like it was allowing me a big expansive time to ponder. So I was noticing as I was getting towards the end, I was going more slowly with it. But someone suggested that I should just think about the next blanket in the same way, perhaps the next stage of my pondering, and I quite like that idea. So whilst a little break would be a good thing while I make this and probably finish the pair of socks that I started, I think it will be good to get back to another, not quite as big thing, but still quite a big thing. Lots of stitches, lots of time to ponder. So I am looking forward to that again. But you know, a little bit of time away. I don't want the baby to be too big for it. I've actually still got my cot blanket. I might have told you. After my father died, my mother spent time just crocheting around it to make it a bigger blanket. And I still have it on my bed. The original blanket is quite worn, and actually even the extension is still about 40 years old. So. But I do like it. It is lovely. So in the winter, I tend to have it on top of my bed. So maybe the blanket that I'm going to make will have a long knife that doesn't just have to be in a cot. Maybe it will become something else. This morning I was downstairs by 5 o'clock and I had a really good morning, a lovely sort of spacious morning. It doesn't get light now till gone 8, and when it's like this, sorry, something has started playing. When it's like this, it's even later that it starts to get light. So I was in the sitting room with the curtains drawn and the lights on, and I watched an Agatha Christie film, Murder on the Orient Express, and just did a little with some of these squares, and it felt like a very peaceful time. When I was doing it, I hadn't realised what the date was. I hadn't realised it was the solstice today, and I wonder if some of that sense of peace is because it is the solstice. For some reason I'm collecting all my tails as well. Don't know why I'm doing that, but I am. Ooh. There, 20 minutes. I am just going to sew this tail inside. Which is a nice stopping point, I think. What have you been working on, I wonder? I would love to hear, as always. that rain is getting to be quite heavy. I hope that you can hear me. Just check I've actually got my microphone on. I forgot to put it on, that would be a bit annoying. But yes, I hope you can hear me, you'll be able to hear me above the rain. Baby Granny Square. And I do hope that however you're celebrating this time of year, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, that you're having a peaceful time, a peaceful end to the year, and not getting, well, unless you want to be caught up in the business, not getting caught up in the business unnecessarily, and that maybe you can find a few quiet moments just to enjoy the time of year. And yeah, take care. If you enjoyed this video and you're watching on YouTube, I'd be very grateful as always if you give it the thumbs up. And of course, if you'd like to watch more of them, hit the subscribe button. I'm not recording these as regularly as I first intended. I had intended originally to record them every Saturday, or have them out every Saturday. But I realised that was setting myself it was just too big a goal. So at the moment, like with most things I'm doing, I'm recording as I feel able. And certainly towards the end of this year, this may well be the last one in 2018. Yeah, so there's probably a bit of a gap. But normally I suspect there will be around a week between each podcast. So if you do want to be told when they come out, click the little bell button as well, and you'll get a notification when these podcasts are out. But I will be here through 2019, looking forward to just seeing what happens, seeing whether I continue crocheting, or seeing maybe I'll be drawing again. I don't know. I just don't quite know where things are going to take me, and I'm not worrying about that either. I'm just enjoying what I'm doing, and we'll just see where things end up. Take care. I shall see you in 2019.